Nobody was supposed to hear this. It wasn't a headline. It wasn't a press release. It wasn't even meant to be noticed. But once it was said, there was no taking it back. Because sometimes, the most damaging thing isn't what happens on the court. It's what slips out when people think no one is listening. And that's exactly what just happened inside the WNBA. For weeks, everything felt tense but controlled. The league kept moving. Games kept going. Statements stayed safe. On the surface, it looked normal. But behind the scenes, pressure was building. Not the loud kind. The quiet kind. The kind that shows up in meetings. In closed-door conversations. In moments where people stop speaking confidently and start choosing words carefully. And then, someone said it. Not aggressively. Not dramatically. Almost casually. And that's what made it worse. Because it wasn't shouted. It wasn't argued. It was admitted. People close to the situation say the moment didn't feel explosive at first. It felt awkward, like a room that suddenly went still. Because everyone realized at the same time, that line wasn't supposed to be crossed. The quiet part had just been said out loud. And the reason it mattered so much was simple. It confirmed what fans had been suspecting for months. That the league wasn't struggling because of talent. It wasn't struggling because of interest. It was struggling because it wasn't ready. Ready for the attention. Ready for the scale. Ready for what Caitlin Clark represented.
3 Olympic gold medals. You won 4 WNBA championships. You know basketball. You know basketball better than me. You know basketball than any of the pundits. You know basketball better than most of the men that play basketball. There is no way in hell you just accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it. And then y'all wonder what happened. See, remember when I was on the air on ESPN and I got into it with Monica McNutt? Stephen A, I'm talking to you, Stephen A, you!
But no one wanted to be the first to say that publicly. Until it happened anyway. According to insiders, the comment wasn't even meant to be controversial. It was framed as context. As explanation. But context can be dangerous when it exposes weakness. Because once people hear it, they connect dots they were never meant to connect. And the reaction was immediate. Not on television, not on social media. Internally, phones started buzzing. Messages started flying. People started asking the same question. Did they really just say that? Because in one sentence, the league acknowledged something it had spent months trying to downplay.
Weight room is irrelevant to the success of the league. League also decided to take the show on the road this season, playing 2 games in Philly. It'll sell out because there's like 1,000 people. Pair of primetime games average 175k viewers. The 4-game slate overall average 107k. Do you know what that means?
That the system was under strain. That negotiations weren't going as planned. That expectations had shifted faster than anyone anticipated. And that shift had a name. Caitlin Clark. Not because she demanded anything. Not because she complained. Not because she forced the issue. But because she changed the scale.
Women's Basketball League is off to a shaky start in its 2nd year. The league, which has stated goal of providing elite women's basketball players an alternative to playing overseas during WNBA's offseason, has failed to attract substantial television audience in the early portions of its 2nd season, according to a report by Front Office Sports on Wednesday. Unrivaled.
Everything around her grew faster than the league's ability to manage it. Demand grew. Attention grew. Pressure grew. And systems don't like sudden growth. They crack. The moment the statement slipped out, it reframed everything. Suddenly, it wasn't fans speculating anymore. It was confirmation that behind closed doors, people were nervous. That leverage had shifted. That confidence wasn't as strong as it appeared publicly. And once that perception changes, it doesn't go back. What made it even more uncomfortable was who didn't respond. Caitlin Clark said nothing. No reaction. No comment. No clarification. And that silence spoke louder than any rebuttal ever could. Because when someone stays quiet after a confession, it feels intentional. Like they already knew. People inside the league described the days after as tight. Not chaotic. Not explosive. Tight. Meetings became shorter. Language became safer. Public messaging became more cautious. Because the damage wasn't what was said. The damage was what it revealed. That control wasn't as firm as everyone believed. That confidence had cracks. That the balance of power wasn't where it used to be. And fans noticed. Not immediately, but subtly. They started replaying the statement, rereading it, asking why it sounded different, why it felt defensive instead of authoritative, why it sounded like justification instead of leadership. And once people sense justification, they assume fear. That's when the narrative shifted. It stopped being about contracts. It stopped being about negotiations. It stopped being about details. It became about weakness, about why a league with so much momentum suddenly sounded unsure.
But they still need to negotiate, and they can't even get there because they can't agree upon this revenue split and the salary cap and those things that have been made public. And I feel like my intuition might actually be right. So Alexa Philippou just tweeted this. She said, league sources believe both sides will get a deal done and there will be a 2026 season. Too much at stake if games are missed, but we may not see a new CBA for a little while longer. The possibility of a super condensed off season is real. And I also just think it's crazy that we haven't heard anything about the stuff that the WNBA is already missing, the stuff that the WNBA is already behind on when you talk about the off-season timeline. Last year, by this point in time, we have gotten a full...
And every answer led back to the same place. The league grew faster than its structure. Caitlin Clark accelerated interest in a way no spreadsheet predicted. No model prepared for. No timeline expected. And now, people were admitting that reality out loud. That's why the phrase hit so hard. Because it wasn't framed as a victory. It wasn't framed as progress. It sounded like a plea. And power never sounds confident when it pleads. According to multiple people familiar with internal conversations, that single moment changed how decisions were discussed. Not officially, but emotionally. Because once doubt enters the room, it doesn't leave easily. You can deny it publicly. You can soften it with follow-up comments.
Popularity and growth, we recognize the importance of building upon that momentum. High priority is a deal that significantly increases players' salaries, enhances the overall player experience, and supports long-term growth for the league for current and future generations of players and fans alike. Bravo. That was short, sweet, to the point. None of the extra flood, no social reform, none of that kind of bullshit. Wow. And I'm going to tell you, I would do these videos, these CBA videos, and a lot of people originally was like, oh yeah, the players ought to get paid, blah, blah, blah. Now you get in the comment section, it's like, no. I mean, people are like team owner at this point. I mean, they have made them, if it's amazing that WNBA players made themselves feel even more insufferable than prior.
But the audience already heard it. And audiences don't forget admissions. Especially when they confirm what people already felt. That the league was reacting instead of leading. That it was adjusting in real time. That it was learning while being watched. And that's uncomfortable for anyone trying to project authority. What made the situation even more sensitive was timing. There was no game to distract from it. No highlight to shift focus. No controversy to bury the moment. So it lingered. In comment sections. In podcasts. In quiet conversations between fans. Because people weren't arguing anymore. They were nodding. That's the dangerous part. when disagreement turns into recognition, when fans stop debating and start concluding. And the conclusion felt simple. The WNBA didn't expect this moment to arrive so fast. Not this level of attention. Not this level of pressure. Not this level of scrutiny. And Caitlin Clark, without saying a word, became the symbol of that gap. Not because she asked for more, but because she existed inside a system that wasn't built for her scale. That's what the leaked feeling comes from. It's not about secrets. It's about truth escaping too early.
How good a player you are, you're going to look bad. As we've saw when Caitlin's trying to play the non-Caitlin Clark system, she has looked bad. She's not plug and play like Paige Beckers. Caitlin is the system.
Right. Was CC making decisions like
Yeah.
with it? Yeah.
As she
No
should.
way.
As she should, but I also think that they go
Oh,
ahead.
that's crazy. I didn't realize that. She's just young. I just didn't think that.
But when you have a generational talent like that, she should have a lot.
About something being admitted before the league was ready to manage the reaction. And now, everyone is adjusting. Carefully. Quietly. Trying not to repeat the mistake. Trying not to say the next quiet part out loud. But once one admission slips, people listen harder for the next. That's why this moment matters. Not because of what was said, but because of what it revealed. That behind the branding, behind the statements, behind the confidence, there's uncertainty. And uncertainty changes how power is perceived. Caitlin Clark didn't expose this intentionally. She didn't force a confession. She simply existed at a scale the system wasn't ready to handle. And the system blinked. That's the story no one wanted to tell. But now that it's out, it can't be unheard. And the next time someone steps up to a microphone, everyone will be listening more closely. Not for what they announce, but for what accidentally slips through. Because that's where the truth lives.